There have been so many amazing volunteers that have helped out in the flooded areas, but we want to introduce you to one 15-year-old and his family. Through his recovery from a major heart surgery, he's choosing to help the victims of the flood.
When he was 10, we found out that he had a heart condition, and within 2 years, the muscle around his heart had thickened so much it had blocked 90% of the blood flow to his body. They had decided at that time to do the heart surgery, basically to save his life.
And that was 3.5 years ago. Doctors told Danny that his days of strenuous sports were behind him, so he focused his energy into creating his business, Mend It Men.
He wanted to expand so he could eventually buy his own car, and so we took it off the ground, and it really took off. I mean, we've got quite a few business customers that we mow every week. He sells firewood.
Shortly after floodwaters devastated several communities, Danny decided the Mend It Men needed to help.
I seen on Facebook everyone was struggling, and I just figured, well, how could I help? I mean, people were donating money, but I figured I'd donate my time and tools and people. I mean, I just did what I could.
The family has been in Clendenin for almost 2 weeks cleaning up the aftermath. They're just several of many volunteers who have traveled from all over.
You know, you sit down for lunch and they'll say, well, we're from Texas or we're from Ohio. And to think, you know, what we've traveled, I mean, compared to what some of the other ones travel, they've came further. As
residents try to salvage what's left, the Mend It Men are finding little signs of hope amid the damage.
And you know, you come across things as you're cleaning and you're like, you don't have the heart to throw it away.
More of what they're finding to help the residents of Clendenin rebuild their lives is coming up on Tuesday. In Clendenin, I'm Kathryn Ghion for 12 News.
A lot of people stop you and they'll thank you. And you hear the stories, you know, they say the water came up within like 20 minutes. So, you know, a lot of them's like, we didn't have time to grab anything. You know, we had to get ourselves out. And so they're like, everything that we have was still in the house.
Now many families' possessions are covered in mud. As they make their way back to their homes, volunteers are trying to help save whatever precious mementos they can.
And you know, you come across things as you're cleaning and you're like, you don't have the heart to throw it away. You slip it to them and say, hey, we found this. You know, if you can clean it up, you can salvage it.
As they've been cleaning homes, the Mend It Men and other volunteers have come across items that are signs of hope for the rebuilding families. Even recovering something as small as coins or jewelry has a huge sentimental impact.
There was a big chest, and it was just a bunch of old dishes, and they were stuff that his parents and stuff like that have had. I just carried them out to his car for him. We found jewelry, we found coins, knives, different stuff. We just handed it to him, and he's been so happy about it.
We were actually cleaning one of the bedrooms, and there was a bookcase. In the bookcase, all the books that we pulled out were wet, and a lot of them were stuck together. In the center, the very center on the top shelf, the last book we pulled was the Bible. It was dry. The books that we pulled out around it, water dripped. It was dry. I mean, you could have taken it and flipped the pages.
While Jennifer, Danny, and the rest of their family hope their work has helped the community in some way, they know the people of Clendenin have changed them forever.
There's people with nothing, and they're still happy, and it's changed the way I look at stuff.
In Clendenin, I'm Kathryn Ghion for 12 News.
I've never saw anything like this.
May Strickland is 88 years old and a lifelong resident of Clendenin. While floods have filled her home with water before, this was the worst and most terrifying she's seen.
But then the water started coming up under the steps, and I had to get out. So I went up here to the next door neighbor, and I got my car out, and we went up there, and we got in her car at first and went up to get out of the water. And from there we had to get in a truck. And we went up to the main road, and we sat in the cab of the truck all night.
By morning, the home that May and her husband had built was underwater. When she finally made it back, she and her family began to salvage what they could.
A few treasures, even some pictures, yeah. Amazingly. We cleaned back up, like of her 4 children that she has. Saved a nice picture of those when they were in there, maybe 6 or 8 years old. It was really nice.
Well, one is a cookie jar that my neighbor gave me years ago, and she's been gone for years. And I found it, they found it today, and I washed it up.
May, like many in this small community, is amazed at the outpouring of support from West Virginia and the entire country.
And the whole town of Clendenin is going, but I never saw so much compassion in this area as the brand new town.
With the home in ruins, May has no choice but to leave. She hopes to come back after the area rebuilds.
Of course, I'll stay with my son-in-law and my daughter until, I can get me an apartment, but I'm coming back. Coming back to the old home place.
In Clendenin, for West Virginia Tonight, I'm Kathryn Ghion. While many families are choosing to leave the area, some are staying in Clendenin. We're going to introduce you to one family who just couldn't bear to leave their lifelong home.
A lot of people's leaving.
It's too hard to go through, too hard.
This house is more than just a place to live for the Naylor family. It's many lifetimes of memories.
I was born in that front room, and my dad had bought the house, and then I got it off of him, and my wife and me built this section on. Because we had 3 kids, think we didn't have enough room, and they were, 7 of us in our family, and we all lived in that one little section over there, and I'm just not going to give up on it yet.
With the help of their families, they've been ripping the house apart, board by board, to let the water dry out.
We're here from daylight to dark, and
working all day.
Trumping in the mud.
Both Junior and Millie were in the neighborhood the night of the floods, preparing to take their family on a vacation. And as they saw the water coming, they never dreamed it would be this devastating.
Water came off of the hill and rushed down that street out there, but it wasn't near here.
And I was talking across this little old ravine out here to my brother at 7 o'clock, and at 8:30 it was in the house.
Except for what they had packed for vacation, the family has nothing left. They're determined to make new memories staying in the community they love.
You should have just seen it before we got flooded. Everything was just this green, looked like a golf course. Everybody, if there was a piece of paper in somebody's line, they got it picked up. There were flowers everywhere. It's just an ideal place.
In Clendenin, for West Virginia Tonight, I'm Kathryn Ghion.